talk about what you experience at a 26-week appointment with a midwife. Now, this is going off my own experience. Every provider is going to do things a little bit different, but I have now worked with 2 different midwifery offices here in Nashville, Tennessee, and they were done very similar. So I feel like when it comes to home birth, it can often have the perception that you're not doing a lot of the typical things that you would do in a hospital birth setting. But it's actually not the case at all. You still do testing, you still do routine blood work, you still monitor your vitals, you still monitor how your body is progressing, you monitor your mental health, you monitor your physical health, you monitor I even have conversations with my midwife about my relationship with my spouse, my relationship with my child. She's very good about checking in on that mental aspect that we go throughout pregnancy. And I feel like that's so important to have check-ins on that and to really see how you are doing. But when it comes to week 26, so week 26, you're kind of rounding out second trimester. You're coming to the end of it. And we're really moving into that big shift of third trimester. At the 26-week appointment, for me, we do the second round of blood work, and I'll put details in the description of exactly what we checked on round 1 of blood work and round 2 of blood work. Every situation is going to be a little bit different, but for the most part, when it comes to pregnancy, there are pretty routine things that you're checking each time. The only difference with mine is in my initial blood work, I did some additional testing as well with a functional provider so that I could get a good idea of where all of my baselines were for everything. I love a lot of data, especially with blood work. It just tells you so much about your body. So I love the more information, the better. So I'll put that in the details of what we kind of went over and what that looked like. But at the 26-week appointment, you are expecting to see some shifts. And these are normal shifts based on, throughout pregnancy, our blood volume is dramatically increasing. And I'll go over this in the weight gain video for pregnancy. But we gain so much more blood throughout pregnancy to help support baby, support placenta, support all the wonderful things. But you can see this shift in your blood work from your first draw to your later in pregnancy draw at week 26. So I think it's really fascinating to see how those numbers shift. So glucose testing, I know everyone has heard of this. And there are a lot of ways to test your glucose. But what I love about working with a midwife is they give a lot of really great options. And with those options, you kind of get to choose what makes the most sense for you in terms of testing and what do you, vibe with when it comes to how do you want to get that information. For me personally, with both birth number 1 with pregnancy number 1 and pregnancy number 2, I like to do at-home glucose monitoring during that time. So you wait until week 26. You can monitor your glucose throughout your entire pregnancy if you want. But for the information that you need to send to your provider, we wait until week 26, and then we monitor fasting glucose every morning. And then we also do glucose testing post meals multiple times throughout the day. And I do this for about a week. With my first pregnancy, I actually did it for 2 full weeks, just because that information, the reason why I like at-home glucose testing is it tells you not only how is your body responding to meals, like are you getting these major spikes? Are you able to handle the major spikes? How is your body processing what you're putting in it? But for me, it helps me to figure out what meals are currently working for my pregnancy versus what meals are putting my body under stress. When it comes to glucose, I love to try and keep a balance to the best of our extent. I don't necessarily want these harsh spikes. all throughout the day. Because when we get those harsh spikes, we kind of get a harsh crash coming down from it. That's a whole different topic. But my goal is to try to find meals that are just pushing us up a little bit, you know, and then we come back down to our baseline. And then we eat again and it goes up, but it's not like a crazy difference. And when we are able to achieve that, our body feels so much better. I know from personal experience, like you feel a dramatic difference in how your body feels. And this is during pregnancy or not. Anytime we are better able to regulate our glucose, our body will thrive better. Trust me. Like I said, this is a whole different topic. I'm not going to go deep into it, but that's a big reason why I like it, because I want to monitor multiple situations that I'm putting myself in, and I want to see how my body is able to handle those, how it's able to work through it, and which meals should I continue to do for the remainder of my pregnancy versus maybe I should make some shifts. And both pregnancies now, I have made shifts in the foods that I was eating based on the information that I was getting from the glucose testing, which is great. You know, you're shifting, you're adapting, and you're finding ways to do things that are better for your body. So that's another big one that we did. And then the other, you know, just rounding out this end of second trimester, those are the main things that we did at the appointment. You also always do your vitals. You always do, we listened to hear the baby, and he sounded great. And it was just a lot of conversation. Like I said, we have tons and tons of conversation at every midwife appointment about mindset, about, you know, how I'm feeling about birth coming, and how I'm feeling with, you know, how are me and my spouse doing, and how are we feeling about new baby coming into the world, and what kind of stresses do we have going on, or do we have any concerns? You know, these are all really great conversations to have, and I very much value those at every appointment. Now, outside of that appointment, where I am just, you know, rounding out second trimester, if you've watched my video, I did a video, second trimester energy boost. That was earlier on in second trimester, talking about some of the things you really want to tackle and knock out and get done. And I am just kind of circling back on that, because now that I'm getting towards the end of second trimester, I can't reiterate enough how important it is to really tackle a lot of those projects that I mentioned in that video during that time span. Because as you go into third trimester, you can just notice some really big shifts, and sometimes they'll sneak up on you. So you don't want to save all your projects and all your things and all the to-do list for third trimester. Trust me, you know, save super manageable, light, very easy to handle tasks for third trimester to the best of your ability. You know, we're still working, we're still handling a house, we're still, you know, many of us have family, we have kids, we have all the things we have to juggle already. So if you can get some of those extra tasks already done before now, that would be ideal. I have already washed all the baby clothes, all the baby blankets, all the baby, you know, burp cloths, things, just anything associated with baby has already been washed. Now, I can wash it again if I want to, right before birth. I absolutely can always do that. But it's nice to have it off my mind that I've already done one round of just getting it all ready, and it's all folded and organized and nicely put away. You know, I'm sure we'll add a few things over the next couple weeks, but that's fine. I have the bulk of it done, and that feels so good on my brain. I've also managed to get a lot of tasks done around the house. I've been, you know, telling a lot of my clients that I was determined to not take on any big to-do lists this pregnancy. We're not doing any major remodels. We're not doing any repainting. We're not doing major house reorganization. It's just little manageable tasks that were weighing on my mind that I needed to get off of it. And that's closets that I needed organized, or I revamped my laundry. It's like a laundry closet, not a laundry room per se. I made a video on that, the laundry, do-it-yourself laundry soap that I played around with. So just little projects that were very manageable and very doable, I've knocked out most of those. I did not knock out everything I'm trying to do. So I'm starting to feel that pressure of, our time clock is ticking and we are getting closer and closer to baby. But thankfully I've, managed to knock out most of those tasks. The one big one that is still weighing on me right now is I do need to do food prep, and that's okay. I still have time, but I really need to food prep. I like to do some really intentional food prepping for that postpartum period so that it doesn't put too much stress and pressure on either my husband or any help that we have around the house. We'll probably have our mother-in-laws here, kind of rotating, and I don't want them to feel pressure to have to cook and do all the things. So I'd like to have some meals already prepared that they can just toss in the oven or toss on the stove and, just make that transition a little bit more simple. So that is my biggest task. But if you are getting close to the end of second trimester and you haven't knocked out all the things, try and get some of them done, because you don't know what your energy is going to be like in third trimester, and you want to try and maintain as much of that energy as possible for other tasks. Because other tasks are going to come up, I promise you. So get the little projects done, get the little reorganizing done, get the cleaning done that you need to, and just help set your mind at ease so that as you transition into that third trimester, you're ready for it. That is kind of a regroup of what to expect at a 26-week appointment with a midwife. Like I said, every situation will be unique, will be a little bit different depending on the provider, but for the most part, you have pretty traditional testing that you're doing around that time, and you make decisions about how you want that testing to look, how you would like to proceed with it, and what options your provider gives you. If you have a provider that does not allow for anything other than the kind of traditional glucose testing, you can still test your own glucose at home also. That's something you can just buy at a store, have it at home, and just get the information for yourself. I think the more information can be so valuable. So even if you aren't in a situation where that can replace your traditional testing, that's okay. I'll put down in the description the exact kind of time blocks that we've been doing with my glucose testing to give you guys an idea that if you do want to play with it on your own at home, to give you an idea of what those testing windows can look like. I hope this gave you a good idea of what to expect with that testing, with working with a midwife, and with rounding out second trimester of not only where we are, but a good forecast for where you might want to be or some things you might want to work on. But thank you for being here for this video, and I hope you found it to be helpful.